So you've just watched a little clip from an episode of Shark Tank where you were introduced to the makers of pet paint. And let's take, for instance, Mr. Wonderful. He offers $200,000 for 20% equity stake in the company. Here's my question to you. What is he valuing the whole company for? We're going to use a tape diagram to figure this out. What I want you to do first is start by drawing a rectangle. And let's write down what we know. We know that for 20% equity in the company, he offered $200,000. The next thing we need to think about is how many copies of 20% are in 100%. Remember, 100% would be our whole. This rectangle right here represents my whole. So if I think about how many times 20 can go into 100, I know it can go in 5 times. So there's 5 copies of 20% in a whole. I need to represent this with my drawing. So I'm going to visually partition this into 5 equally sized sections. Go ahead and do that. Then what I want you to do is on one side of your diagram, I want you to put your percents. So I know I'm going to start with 0%, right? I'm starting at the very edge. Then this mark is going to represent 20%. This mark is going to represent 40%. This one would be 60%, 80%, and the whole is going to represent 100%. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in what I know. So I know that he offered $200,000 for 20%. So I'm going to write that on the bottom. Again, I know that 0% is actually going to cost you $0, right? 20% is going to cost you $200,000. Now, if you're wondering, okay, well then what's 40%? Like, I'm not sure. What you want to think about is if this piece represents 200,000, and I know that each of these pieces are equally sized copies, and if mine don't look perfect, forgive my drawing, you know that this piece is also going to represent another 200,000, meaning that this piece of your whole now represents 400,000. This next one, again, basically you can see I'm skip counting by 200,000, right? So this one's going to be 600,000. This one's going to be 800,000, which means that my very whole represents 1 million. So to answer my question, what did he value the whole company if he offered 20% for $200,000? He valued it at $1 million. Again, the key to figuring how to get from this step to this step is thinking about how many copies of whatever percent they give you are in 100%. So if they give you 10%, I would say how many copies of 10% are in 100%? Or if they give you 5%, how many copies of 5% are in 100%? I hope this is helpful and you now have a better understanding about how to use tape diagrams to solve percent problems.